The issue that I want to talk to you about is the correlation between preservation of nature and the happiness of human beings who live in such surroundings. Many of us know if we protect our environment, it means we retain our air quality, preserve our soil quality to protect it from erosion and removal, so we can ensure the maintenance of biological diversity. We can ensure that dunes stay away from our cities, that salinity of soil does not affect its fertility and the quality of water. But maybe some or many of us don't know that above all, the protection of our environment causes less aggressiveness, makes our smiles more lasting, and makes us more happy. I would like to talk about something which is called HPI, Happy Planet Index, that has made its way into environmental language from 2006. I'd like to start with this photo from Hassan Muqimi, who took it in Tang Sayyad. Hassan is one of my dear friends, a professional photographer. Tang Sayyad is a region in Char Mahal Bakhtiyari, and as you can see, this photo shows a kiss. A kiss of a mother and her child. A kiss not like kisses which we know, but it is a kiss that shows the wild goat that you see in this picture loves her child and wants to see it grow and spend the life with her. What Hassan Muqimi epitomizes is what we know as biodemocracy. It means that all creatures are precious and we as anthropogenic beings have to respect them. I think if we such pictures in an attractive and effective shape find their way into our school books, then we would find less photos which show our compatriots smiling in the camera beside bloody carcasses of wild animals and proudly call themselves hunters and contribute such photos in our social media. Somewhere we have chosen the wrong way. That's why hunting has been interpreted as masculinity. I have a friend whose name is Javad Najafi. Javad's father is one of our experienced old rangers who lives in Tabas, Neubandan. Javad told me every time when his father goes to the conservation areas and sees some mouflons, roe deers, and wild goats, they all have been hunted and their children stand there alone. So he takes them home and raises them with the help of Javad's mother until they're capable to be released into the wild. Javad furthermore explains that all these mouflons and roe deers and wild goats have got used to his mother, who nurses and feeds them, and they find opportunities to come to her arms to show her love and kiss her. Actually, as he told me this story, I, who have been working in this field for 28 years, could hardly believe it until he brought me this picture. And I realized he has told me the truth. I saw that these animals treasure her kindness and attention and try to give it back as best as they could. I believe when we impart these simple facts to today's children who study at our schools, the next generation would not be a generation who would stay silent and inactive, who would stand back and watch 18 million of their oaks get destroyed how the number of wild goats, mouflons, roe deer, gazelles, and cheetahs die out to less than 110,000. The wild animal stock downscale equals to just 1/10 of its population. We sure have chosen the wrong way somewhere. And we believe if we influence our children in a positive way, every one of them could be a Yalda. Yalda, who you see in this photo, is a 6-year-old girl who triggered during the last 2 years for hunters to lay down their guns with a response of 1,430 who did just that. We call that in our field as gun-killing tsunami. What Yalda did was, she told her father, Kak Ahmad Azizi, if he values his daughter's love and friendship, he should never come home with bloody hands after hunting a partridge. In order not to lose his daughter's love, he dismantled his gun in public, and that caused a wave, which is called gun-killing tsunami. What do we do with our Yaldas? How many of us have tried to create an environment where our Yaldas in this country could be so effective and be able to speak up? Look at this picture. She is a Yalda too. What is she looking at? An execution, yes. She is watching an execution. This happens in public in our cities. What do we then expect when our children, careless about tomorrow, watch mercilessly a human ending up on the gallows? How can we expect that they protect their environment and care for the public safety while growing up? We have to start by these simple things. We should not allow that cruelty to animals be the children's pleasure in this country. Children who find joy in throwing stones and sticks at dogs could throw acid onto the body of their fellow beings when they are grown up. Then their greatest hit on Google is to watch how ISIS beheads a captive. This is something that we could compensate when it happens. We can do something for our fellow beings. This photo from Shahr Babak in Kerman, a fellow countryman slaughters a child beside its mother. We even have a hadith which says we should not slaughter a sheep beside its conspecific. I believe if we can propose something important for this land where we find our way back to ethics and our social capital in this specific context could grow, the Iranian people could smile deeply again. We have to begin with the ethics in the environmental sector, and we can achieve that. We have had some effective experiences that I want to focus on. But before that, focus on this phrase from Garus Abdul Malekian, who says, "Which bridge is broken that not one person can find their way back home?" 51 years ago, Sohrab Sepehri answered this question. Sohrab says in his well-known poem, "Let's not soil the water. The stream is perhaps running to a populace. To soothe a lonely heart, perhaps a dove is drinking there. Let's not soil the water," and tries to answer this question with it. At that time, Shamlu, the great poet of our country, attacks Sohrab heavily. He says, "I don't understand at a time when Americans drop napalms on the Vietnamese and expose Cambodia and Vietnam to Agent Orange, at a time when the government puts innocent people against a wall to execute them. You are concerned about a dove's or a tree's thirst?" I don't understand these mystical ideals. This is a key question. a question which every environmental activist has to be able to answer in an effective and an appealing way. If not, we are still on a regressive path of efficiency, and furthermore, the grade of aggression will increase in this country. Sohrab Seperi says, on the contrary, if we were able to cultivate a generation who is worried about a dove's or a tree's thirst, that generation would never let an innocent come to any harm, let alone be indifferent to genocide. We need to cultivate a generation like Dina. She is a daughter of a ranger in Haftat Qole, who's growing up in such a way through our international experiences with 500,000 pupils in Sweden and United States, shows that if a generation grows up in a certain way, they will become inhibitors of violence in their respective society. So what must we do? This is the important issue that I want to expound on. What Vandana Shiva, a laureate of the Right Livelihood Award, once said is our guiding principle in the environmental field. Vandana Shiva said, in nature's economy, the currency is not money, it is life. And this sentiment is carried through by Dr. Khwarazmi, who had the same exact experiences in regions of Khafr in Kerman. That was what she reported back, as some of you have heard her speak about. The panacea that we need to look for is life. This is why I say that nature is priceless. When divorce rates climb higher, when the Department of Motor Vehicles in Esfahan announces that drivers are getting more aggressive, when the rivers of Zayanderud dries and people continue to feel worse, what do we do to realize this guiding principle? In the economy of our nature, life is the common currency which we have to protect. What we do at the Environmental Agency is the representation of the nature schools called JAM schools. I have traveled to a village called Galal in Pave. What the children's assignments there was to trap squirrels and hand them over to poachers who provided spoiled children in the cities with pet squirrels. We explained to the children that squirrels were a natural factor of reproduction in Zagros. If you want to continue living here, you have to cease capturing squirrels, and they did just that. We have established nature schools, where we try to create an environment without educating children, without bells ringing, without any walls or classrooms, to learn to touch a tree, pet an animal, to plant a sapling, to play with soil, and experience what happens in their surroundings and to discover themselves. Our belief is, if children grow up this way, their view to the values of their lives would be the same as their view to the environment. It means the way they would respect their parents, their homeland, and their religion. They would respect a yew tree, a taxidium, or a cheetah. And so HPI, the Happy Planet Index, will continue to grow. The HPI in our country is in this situation right now. We are almost in the middle of the scale. We are about 41.7%, the 77th country of the 151 in the world. But when we look at the declinational tendencies since 2006, there's a reason to be worried. Of course, there are some other countries that are in much worse situations, but we have to think about a solution for our own decline. And if we don't figure out something immediately, we might be the last generation. The last generation that will rescue nature and bring back the down-reaching delight and pleasure back to people. In this country, there are places where you can see that deep happiness. One particular place I want to mention has had no homicide in over 400 years. I traveled to this location. The woman in this photo is from there. This place lies somewhere at the border between Charmahal Bakhtiari, Isfahan, and Lorestan. It's a mountainous terrain by the name of Shahanku. 2 billion cubic meters of water flows through there. I will show you and compare how much water 2 billion cubic meters is, just to recall. The discharge of the river of Zayanderud, which is about 800 million cubic meters. That's 2.5 times more flow of water going downhill just from this mountain. Everywhere you look in this area, there are rivers and the most beautiful waterfalls, which are in Pashandegan and Punazar. In this beautiful countryside, I saw this woman with great effort is pouring water into a container to wash her clothes nearby the river. I was taken aback by her struggle, so I went to her and asked why she was doing her washing the way she was doing it. Why she took great pains when there were so many rivers around. I simply asked why doesn't she just go to one of them and wash her clothes there? She said, "Sir, all this water doesn't belong to only me. Many birds, animals, or other people most likely use this water downstream. My problems are solved with this much water." The people are so affable there, and one of those is this woman from Feridun Shahr, the highest elevated city in Iran, approximately 2,530 meters, roughly 8,300 feet. We have to spread this message of the people of Feridun Shahr to the rest of this country, to discover why there has been no homicide within the last 400 years, and how the people there always smile at one another. Well, the secret is simple, that nature itself smiles upon its people. What happened in Mian Rudan? Why is ISIS so enraged in Iraq? Why is Al-Qaeda so much enraged? Because the people there have nothing to lose anymore. Turkey had stolen Euphrates and Tigris with the GOP project, and because of these circumstances, the terroristic movements had the opportunity to emerge. To curb this violence, we have no other choice than to move away from hunting, to stand up and protect nature with enthusiasm, so to reach that happiness again. So in this way, we should follow the great advice of Hushank Ebtahaj and be like a river. Progress fearlessly, like a river running in a steep and rocky valley. Nothing is expected from the dead. Be alive. Be alive.